Welcome to Tribe Triathlon, the podcast for athletes who don't just train and race, they belong. Whether you're chasing a new PR, dialing in your race day, or just love all things triathlon, you're in the right place. Each episode provides actionable insights to improve your next training session or race. My name is John Mayfield, and I am a seasoned triathlon coach with years of experience guiding hundreds of athletes from their first long course event all the way to World Championship qualifications. So rack your bike, lace up your shoes, and let's get ready to train smarter, race stronger, and thrive within the tribe. This is Tribe Triathlon.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Tribe Triathlon podcast. We're taking a little step to the side today. This one's not necessarily swim, bike, run. I think we'll chalk this one up more to race execution, race experience, but this is going to be a good one. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to have on the podcast, who I wanted to have on the podcast, I got to thinking about so much of what we do revolves around Ironman and some of the Ironman staff and some of these folks that make these Ironman events happen. I've seen behind the scenes from days out to days after. It's an affair. It's an amazing thing they do, and so I wanted to hear from Ironman, and I got to thinking, who better than these announcers that are there with us throughout the day? They get us hyped in the morning. They're calling us across the finish line at midnight, and then they do everything in between. So there's a lot of great personalities working with Ironman. I know Tom Zebart. I know Dave Raisdale. I know Tony Lugo. But then I got to thinking, I want Colleen. So Colleen Rue is with us today. And she gave me such a great introduction. I don't usually like to read stuff, but this is just a great introduction. So Colleen is a seasoned multi-sport endurance athlete and dynamic media professional whose career spans morning radio, live events, and endurance races. Known for her ability to genuinely connect with others, Colleen channels that talent into her greatest passion, helping people achieve big goals. Her gift for storytelling allows her to create deep, lasting bonds between athletes, audiences, and the brands she represents. A full-time race announcer since 2016, Colleen joined Ironman in 2023 as one of the first female voices to deliver the iconic "You Are an Ironman" call. Whether she's inspiring athletes at the finish line or captivating a crowd with her energy and words, Colleen brings connection, authenticity, and heart to every event, leaving an impact and lasting long after the day is done. So welcome, Colleen Rue.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate, John, just the invite to be here and to talk about Ironman and athletes and the big things that I have such a privilege of being on the front row of. It's really, really cool what I get to do. When I tell people what my job is, I'm like, yeah, I just get to hang out with amazing people doing incredible things all the time.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, but first, we're going to hit our diving in. So Christmas was just a few days ago, and I'm not even going to justify a conversation around turkey at Christmas. I will say, the one thing I will say is at least have turkey at Thanksgiving. Leave it out of Christmas. I mean, Christmas is my favorite holiday. It's great. Turkey has no business anywhere around Christmas. And the other thing that another hill I'm going to die on is the ugly sweater theme parties, all that is played out. It has been played out. It hasn't been cool in like a decade, but every year it keeps coming back. So this started, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 years ago. And I will say it was pretty cool when it started because people were actually going and finding real ugly Christmas sweaters. You know, they were digging them out of their attics or going to the thrift shop because there was so many of them out there. Now it's just like people are either making them or they're just buying them pre-printed. So it's just not the same. And now that we've been doing it every year for like more than a decade, I think it needs to go away. And I think we need to find something else. What do you think, Colleen?
Well, I love this question, John, because I probably have the most festive clothing of anyone. Of course, being a race announcer, there's lots of Christmas events. I was just at an event just this last week where I was dressed in some Christmas onesie. But I have to agree with you that I think we have to move on from the Christmas sweater because there's so many other great things that we can do. I have so many Christmas onesies at this point and Christmas tracksuits. I really think we need to lean in there. But I will say I have a coworker who she has some of her grandmother's old Christmas sweaters. If you're going to go vintage and you just went to Nana's closet and you got those vintage sweaters, I say wear them. But I agree with you.
Yep.
There's so many other great things.
Yeah. All right, Colleen. So we're going to talk about kind of the day in the life of an Ironman announcer. But I think kind of my most pressing question, what I really want to know most of all, I'm going to start with this, is how do you feel standing at an Ironman finish line, calling those athletes in? They've been out there, if it's a 70.3 event, been out there for half a day. If it's an Ironman event, they've been out there all day. A lot of folks into the night. And it is, I know for me, both as a coach and an athlete, there is nothing that compares to that finish line experience. So what do you feel? What is it like for you standing there at that finish line, declaring them a finisher or declaring them an Ironman?
You know, it's such a special place to be. And I think being an athlete has really influenced and helped to give me the understanding of what it's like to be on that red carpet at Ironman, because unless you've been there, you don't really understand what it's like after 13, 15 hours, 16 and a half hours, finally turning the corner and seeing that red carpet and hearing that announcer. Mike Riley was the person who called me across the line for my very first Ironman. Yeah. And, you know, I have that clip that I still play back, and it's Colleen Rue, you are an Ironman. And it's such an important part of people's journey where I want to make it so special for them. And we have, as announcers, we have such a brief amount of time to do that for them, but yet it's something that's going to last forever. They may not remember what you said. They may not remember exactly what was going on, but they will remember that they were on that red carpet and that they did something that they thought was impossible just hours before. So it is never lost on me how precious those moments are, and that we are the vehicles to make them just absolutely incredible.
Nice. So what is your favorite memory from the red carpet?
You know, there's so many red carpet moments. My favorites are the ones where there's spectators involved. I actually work more with spectators than I do with athletes. If you think about it, I've got spectators there for hours and hours and hours waiting for you guys to cross the line. They've got their trackers out. They're trying to find you and hunt you down. And they've been with us all day long. They've heard us while you were swimming. They heard us calling everybody else in. When you were in transition, they heard our voices as they were waiting for you. And so we get to know these spectators. And what's fun is maybe if I'm on a break, I'll walk around and talk to spectators, and they'll tell me these little tidbits and these little stories. And I remember I was at the Ironman 70.3 St. George finish line a few years back, and it was late in the race and time was running out. It was a hot day because it's May in St. George. And there was this woman that was standing there holding a medal, waiting for her husband. And her husband had survived multiple devastating diagnoses, and she had never been an athlete herself, but she was part of this process for him. And she was so proud, not only that he was doing this, but that he could still do this and that he was going to find this finish line. And I stood with her and got to call him across the line as not just a finisher of this Ironman 70.3, but a survivor in life, and that he was really teaching everybody what that looks like. And being next to her, seeing her face and watching her put that medal around his neck, those are the moments that I absolutely cherish. Like I can't stop the tears most of the time at the finish line, because it's your spectators. Yeah. If you only knew your spectators.
So you started with Ironman the year after Mike Riley retired. So what was it like to take the mic from the voice of Ironman, the one that we all know? So you said your first was Mike. I had to do 3 before I got Mike to call me across the finish line, and he did my last. Which was his second to last race. So that was cool. But yeah, so what was it like? I mean, with such a big figure and such a distinct voice, what was it like coming in kind of in that gap or that absence?
Yeah, it was an interesting time. And I have to even back it up a little bit more, because Mike Riley is the reason any of us have a career as a race announcer. If we really think about it, he became more than just that voice at the finish line. He became a part of the Ironman experience. Yeah. And he was able to do that because of his talent and the way that he connected with people, the way that his voice connected with people. And because of him, I get to do what I do in my career. And I thank him for that all the time, because he really paved that way and showed, I think, the event world that if you get the right person there, it is going to elevate the experience of the people that are participating, and it's worth it. It's worth it to have that. So always so much gratitude for Mike in the pavement that he laid for us to walk on today. And, you're stepping into big shoes. You're stepping into shoes where people want to hear Mike call them across the line. That became part of the Ironman experience, which I loved. I loved it when Mike called me across the line. And so, we have to understand that is such a big place, and not that we'll ever be Mike Riley. We will, I love when Mike came to Ironman Arizona just a few weeks ago when we had a bunch of retiring pros, and he just showed up on a whim. It was so fun to watch the athletes and the crowd react to him, because it was Mike. He's beloved. And so for us, I feel like it's just carrying that torch on, being the best announcers that we can, taking the things that he did and that he created and keeping that as part of that Ironman experience. So we never lose that. It never just becomes, oh, you're at the finish line. It's always a celebration. It's always a big deal. It's always a high five from whoever it is at the end, celebrating those individuals. So it's a really unique and a really privileged place to be, to get to come after Mike like that.
Yeah. So speaking of all these people that are involved in this, do you have a favorite person to work with?
Favorite people to work with. It's interesting. I spent most of my career announcing, not working with another announcer. I was alone. I was always kind of a solo gig, because you don't often have multiple announcers. And when I first reached out to Ironman and talked to Tom Ziebart, he was the one who was filling that role and making sure that all the finish lines had announcers. It was so fun to get to work with Z, because he's a legend, just like Tom. He'd been there with Mike really for so many years, and he has such a career with multi-sport and with putting on events and being part of those events. He knows everything. He knows everyone. He's kind of like the mayor when he gets there. Yeah. And so getting to learn the brand and the voice from men like that was really, really inspiring. And then you have people, you talked about Dave Ragsdale and Tony Lugo. And, Tony is just this ball of energy that comes from Puerto Rico, and he brings this flair with him. And I feel like we learn something from each of those people. Dave Ragsdale, he's got this beautiful voice that's just silky smooth, and he's just this seasoned professional that really knows how to connect with people. And he's got the best dad jokes out there. And working with people and getting to bounce jokes and moments and experiences, having a partner in that makes it so much more fun, because these guys are professionals who we're working with. And it takes me back to my radio days. It's like we get to do a radio show for like 4 hours. And so it can be really, really fun.
All right. So we skipped to the end, talked about finish line and all that. But announcers aren't just there for the finish or even just the start. You guys are there days before the race. So kind of walk us through I would say a day in the life of an Ironman announcer, but also kind of the week. So before you show up at a venue, what type of preparation are you doing before an event?
Yeah, it's such a good question that you asked, John, because a lot of times people are like, oh, so they just give you a microphone and you just kind of go at it. And yes, there is some of that, because that's fun to do and just get to chat with people and do things. But there's a lot of preparation, especially I had the privilege of working a lot of the Ironman Pro Series races this year here in North America, and being prepared and knowledgeable about these pros and their journey and about the Pro Series and where things are. It really adds so much to the experience for the people who are coming to maybe the pro panel. And, you're getting to be that storyteller to help tell the story of the Ironman Pro Series. And so there is a lot that goes into it, of diving into the careers of some of these professional athletes. And I always like to ask the race director, if I know the race director, is there anybody else of note coming? Has anybody else reached out? Because there's always those special moments where someone wants to get engaged or someone wants to. I've had gender reveals at the end of an Ironman 70.3, and those special moments, because those are the things that we can curate. So there is a lot of, I call it homework that goes into it, just kind of setting up and making sure you know who it is, because every race is different. Also knowing the race course and understanding that. Maybe I haven't raced in Salem, Oregon, but I was there for the first time. So I need to get to know like what's unique about this place. So I can speak to that community who's going to come out, and I know how to pronounce things appropriately. I understand those unique things that the volunteers from the community are going to bring with them, because that's all part of how we connect everyone who comes to that brand. So there's a lot of homework that I like to do just so I have a good understanding of what's going on, who's going to be there, and how I can make their experience that much better at that venue and at that event. So plenty of homework going in. And then, of course, for announcers, we're put in a position to do the briefings for all of the athletes, which this is some of my favorite stuff. Some people might say they're not their favorite part of the event, but I love it because it gives us one-on-one time with the athletes. So we get to rattle through all the things that they need to know. And you've got first-time athletes. I was just in La Quinta, and do you know how many people were first-time triathletes at this 70.3? Not just first-timers in Ironman, or first-time triathletes. So you get some one-on-one time. You get to answer questions. We also get a chance to get to know people. And a lot of times I will get to know somebody at a briefing, and then I'll see them at the swim start, and I'll remember them. I'll stick them in my tracker, and then I'll track them throughout, and I'll remember some things, or I met their family, and then I'll be able to identify their family at the finish line. And that gives me the ability to make their experience just that much better when I do get to see them at the red carpet. So noticing people, noticing little things, being involved, being prepared with the information, and all of that just culminates in those red carpet moments where we really started.
Yeah. I heard Mike Riley say one time he would actually go over the start list and reach out to people with odd last names, and he would ask them how to pronounce it. And then he would remember, which I think that's the even more impressive part, that he would recognize it, remember it. And then, because, I'm sure these people with these different last names, they've their whole life, it's been mispronounced, and the one time or one of the times you really want to get it right, it's almost a joke as to what it would be. So I was impressed that Mike could do that.
We have the opportunity to do that. It is great, and I always love when someone will turn to me and they'll give me a thumbs up when I get a hard word, a hard name right, or something like that. And because it's one of those things. Those are special moments, and we want to make them special. And so anything that we can do to lean in, and I always, the more homework I can do, the better, because then I'm just better prepared to make the experience great on the other end.
So when do you show up to a race? Say it's a Sunday race. So a lot of stuff going on Saturday, briefings on Thursday, Friday. When do you show up?
Yeah, we usually get there. If it is a Sunday race, generally on a 70.3, we're coming in Thursday evening because we've got a full day. The village will open at about noon on that Friday, and then we've got briefings in the afternoon. But we have a lot of staff meetings and other things that are going on. I know for me, a big part is getting to know the race director. I want to know the race director. I want to know the operations director, because I'm that person that can help them. I really am that kind of liaison between the athlete and what needs to happen to execute this race. There's so much on the operations side, just from moving people, getting them on shuttles, getting them to the right places, making sure they're not in places where they're not supposed to be. So understanding from the race director, so in meetings that we get to. So when we get in early, we attend meetings every single morning, and then we do our athlete briefings. So for a 70.3, we're getting there. We spend about, a total of 5 days on the ground. And then with a full Ironman, of course, we've got welcome banquets that we do. We also have award ceremonies and volunteer banquets that we handle on the backside of things. So we can be there for about a week for an Ironman.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was something that as I got more involved and I started working in Ironman Village, there's so much in the background that as an athlete and a seasoned athlete, 15 years of doing Ironman events, I had no idea. And these are literally the people that are never seen, never recognized, but absolutely make it happen, from the site guys and all the swim crew that's out there for days. I don't even know what they do, but I know it takes days to set up a swim course. And also, there's a whole lot going on in the background that we don't even realize as athletes out there. So we're obviously grateful.
That's why I tell athletes all the time, volunteer, come and volunteer. Mm-hmm. If you're not going to race, come and volunteer, because you do get to see a little bit of that backside of how it goes on, really how athletes are managing themselves throughout the day. And it gives you a different view. And I think you become a better athlete when you know exactly what's going on the operations side.
Yeah, that's cool. So moving on to race day, what is your favorite part about race morning?
Favorite part about race morning is getting into transition when it's like, dark 30. I mean, it depends on where we are, but it's usually around 4:00 in the morning. We get up. My alarm is generally set sometime in the 3s. I try not to think about it. And we roll into transition just before it opens, or just after it opens, because our staff does a great job to open it a little bit early. And seeing that nervous energy just come through the arch, and knowing that they're on this journey, that they're going to truly, they're not going to go back. They're going to be a different person at the end of that day, no matter how that day plays out. They're going to go through ups and downs. Even for people who maybe the day doesn't finish on the red carpet, they're going to experience something that's going to be unique to that day that they're going to remember for a long time. And so I love the early morning jitters that people have. I love to welcome people and to try to calm some nerves when someone comes up and asks questions. And I love when people, seek out, I'm always like, seek out the announcers, ask questions. We can help calm you down, and we can help with some of those things. And so I would say that's really one of my favorite parts of the morning, is just getting everybody set and getting them ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I actually had one of those experiences earlier this year when I started a race and didn't get the red carpet. And I was disappointed, genuinely disappointed, because I knew you were calling. And I've had Mike call me in, I've had Dave, all these other guys. And I was like, I want Colleen to call me in. And then day didn't go to plan. And I'll talk more about that in another episode. But I don't know if you remember, but I did get to see you. And you were very kind, and just made me appreciate you all the more. Because I can now really speak to you're different when you cross the finish line, and you're different when you don't. Right. So I still and we were even around the finish line, but I had yet to run a marathon. But so yeah, that was great. You were great in that. So that was much appreciated. So do you do vocal warm-ups in the morning?
People ask that all the time. Yeah? People ask two different questions. They're like, do you warm up, and how much caffeine have you had? Those are generally the two questions I get. And both the answers are no. I've never really warmed up my voice, and maybe that's a bad thing, but I've been in kind of this world for a long time. What I always tell people is my voice is what it is because I have great sound guys behind the scenes. BCC, of course, helps with Ironman. It does all of their sound. If I have a good sound guy, and shout out to my husband, because we actually own a sound company and we travel and do a lot of events together as well. That sound guy is the reason why I have my voice at the end of the day. Nice. If I'm losing my voice, it's probably I can't hear myself, or if you kind of know how it is. If you put headphones on and you're listening and you start singing and you don't realize that everybody can hear you singing, if you can't hear your voice, you will, you'll talk differently and you'll overproject. And so shout out to the sound guys out there, because they really help to keep the voice. So no vocal warm-ups for me, and I don't drink coffee, and I might have a Diet Coke in the middle of an Ironman, but I try to just use the other energy and make sure the caffeine's there when I need it.
Yeah. Okay. So you're down there when transition opens or close to it, working through those nerves with athletes. You're down there at the swim start, welcoming folks in, reminding them about some of the things throughout the day. Usually, that then kind of flips over to swim exit, calling people out of the water. And then we don't see you for a long time, especially like on a Ironman day. So what are you guys doing after the last swimmer comes out? They're out of T1, they're off on the bike. This is usually like as a coach, this is where I go take a nap. But what do you guys do?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's like, are you guys all just having a little party back there or something? Sometimes there's naps involved. I'm not a big napper. I have a hard time once an event starts. I'm just kind of on and I want to be around the athletes. But we do have, with a full Ironman, we have 3 announcers at a full Ironman. So we do have a rotation that we go through, which helps a lot because there's a lot that goes on during the day. So after, usually we all kind of are there at the start line, and then 2 of us will go to the swim exit. Then most of the Ironman events will have a hot corner or something like that.
Yeah.
And so just barely in Arizona, there's a great hot corner in Arizona because it's a 3-loop bike course. So we'll go set up over at the hot corner and spend a couple of hours just talking to spectators and cheering people on the bike. And there's always just that downtime before the pros come in. I spend a lot of that time, especially if it's a pro series, watching the broadcast and seeing how the event's playing out and everything like that. So kind of preparing for those post-race interviews that we're going to do and to be able to have a sense of how the whole event is playing out so that that can be reflected in the way that we call people down the red carpet. So a lot of Ironman tracker stuff going on, lots of broadcast stuff going on. And I do try to remind myself, go sit down someplace because it's going to be a long night.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long night.
Yeah. Is there anything else you do preparation-wise before heading down to the finish line?
Like I said, lots of tracker, lots of watching the broadcast if there is one. I love to go and just stand out on the course and watch. I will go down and try to see, I'll go down to transition and watch the pros transition, and I'll run out on the bike course or on the run course if I can to kind of catch and see things with my own eyes, just kind of see how things are playing out. I kind of bounce around. I'm one of those people that's kind of always around, but just kind of knowing what's going on and then making sure I have plenty of food and plenty of fluid that I'm bringing with me once we get ready for the pros to start coming in. So
that's always what I tell like the spectators, the Sherpas, all that. It's like those guys have like a full catered day, but you're going to walk thousands of steps. You're going to have chafing. You're going to be sunburned, and you got to take care of yourself. You are self-supported. So yeah, you got to stay hydrated. You got to stay up on your calories. And no, I'm not even talking to the athletes. They're going to have all that on their own. So yeah, spectating and being out there is a task of its own. And yeah, I've been at, I don't even know how many events, and a lot of times I've gotten behind on some of those, found myself severely dehydrated, severely behind on calories, about to pass out. And
I'm always telling spectators, I'm like, this is an event for you guys as well, because they got up at 3 a.m. and they don't have an aid station every few miles or so that's topping them off with electrolytes. So yeah, it is. It's another sport in Ironman.
Yeah. So how much fun is it to work the finish line?
It is more fun than I can possibly tell you, John. It really is. It's the one thing that just fills my cup and I just go home with a little afterglow. It's the second best thing to being on your own red carpet is what I can say, because you get to live everybody's red carpet together. There's something about, especially I love the pros. I love to watch the pros battle it out. I absolutely adore being involved in that and working with the pro series. But once we get the pros done and we get their races done and we get into kind of the back half of the race, that is where things just start coming alive. And there's something about like the music just starts going, and BCC will be playing some great pump up music, and then more and more spectators are coming around, and we've just got 6 or 7 deep spectators, and they're getting them excited. And especially at a full Ironman where they ring the bell when they're first timers and they identify themselves and they come down, and you get to have that moment where you see these people turn the corner and they're like, I did it. Like, I did it. I pressed this red button 6 months, 12 months ago, and it's all culminating in this moment. And to be there with the music and to just talk to them. I just love to talk to athletes and be like, hey, hold on, like, look at me, stop. Do you realize what you did? Think about what you did, because that red carpet does go by so quickly that I want them to just tune in for just a second to be like, yeah, no matter how that day went, even if it didn't play out the way I wanted it to, I'm here on 2 feet and I just finished this. It's the best feeling ever. It's the best feeling ever.
So I suspect I'm going to know the answer to this one, but you're starting, you're clocking in at, call it 4 a.m. You're clocking out after midnight the following day. That's 20 hours. How do you keep the energy up in those last few hours where you've been working for 18, 19, going on 20 hours, and even then sometimes it goes to 1 o'clock or after. How do you keep your energy up?
You keep moving. I just don't sit down. If anybody sees me announce, I am on my feet all the time. And that is by design. I just feel like, for me, I have more energy that way. And it keeps me connected. And really the time goes by so quickly. You're in kind of this Ironman vortex, and all of a sudden you look and the sun is starting to set and you're like, what time is it? I swear I've seen the sun rise and the sun set and I don't even know. So it does go by very, very quickly, but keeping the energy, it's the energy that comes back at us that I don't know if people really understand, where when you see these families and these kids waiting for their person and to watch them see their person and just erupt with that energy when they're just as tired as I am. They've probably been out for 20 hours as well. That energy just comes right back to us and we can just give it out. And there's nothing like especially in Ironman, between 10 p.m. and midnight when it slows down. And I do like when an Ironman slows down, when we're getting one athlete at a time. That's the time when we can get out in the chute with you. We can see where you're at. We can give high fives and the spark fountains are going off. And it's a time that we can really party, and there's plenty of time for sleep later. I mean, we recover later. There's always Monday.
So I go back far enough to when we had the 7 a.m. mass start and the hard cutoff at midnight. And I think I missed that. I miss especially having that midnight. That was it. And there were times where I was at finish lines, and there were folks. I mean, there were 2-3 minutes to spare, and they were a quarter mile out or whatever it was. And some of them made it by seconds, and some of them didn't make it by seconds. But man, that was an amazing experience. And I feel like we lose a little bit of that with the staggered start, and obviously it's a necessary thing, but I think it's an unfortunate byproduct of doing away with that mass start, because you knew exactly where everybody was, you knew what time, and you knew how much time they had left. So that was a epic experience when you'd see those folks just willing themselves to keep going for another 100 yards, and they got to do it in 30 seconds or whatever it was. And
it is. It's pretty crazy. And I think that's our job. It becomes, as the announcers, it becomes our job to make sure that we don't lose that, even though, we're making the swim safer and that rolling start is the way to go, but we have to keep that at the end and we have to be there. I'm a big believer in, I will be there for every single person who has a chance to make it. I do not want to punch out until I know that everybody is off the course, because there is nothing that would break my heart more than someone who spent all that day, all that time, and then to be left alone. So it's like, I will stay there, and they can keep my microphone on or not, but we will stay there until the bitter end to make sure we get everybody there.
So in a 70.3, after the finish line, you move on to the awards for an Ironman event. That's typically the next day. So a lot going on throughout. First off, what time do you get to bed after an Ironman? What time can you expect to clock out?
Well, Yeah, if you're working until midnight, which like we talked about with the rolling start, it's not midnight. It's going to be closer to 1 or 1:30. The problem is, John, is coming down
Yeah.
off the high and just laying down in bed. And athletes have the same problem. You know, you've been taking caffeine for the past, 10 hours or more, and you have to kind of come down. And so for me, it's usually I need a good shower, number one, just because I've touched a lot of sweaty bodies and I love that. I'm here for it, but I got to kind of get the day off me. And then I just need to like sit there in silence. I really do love silence because we work in a really loud environment that's always there. And I just need a few minutes. My husband always laughs at me because I'll just lay flat on the floor, not even on the bed, just flat on the floor. And it's like, just don't talk to me. Don't touch me. Just give me a little bit and I'll eventually get up and go to bed. But it takes about 30 to 45 minutes to kind of come off the day. And so you're in bed. I mean, it's 1 or 1:30 by the time you finally get to bed, depending on how far away your hotel is from the finish line.
Anything else in the day in the life of an Ironman announcer?
I don't, it's so fun because as we work with the spectators and we work with the athletes, there's also all the staff that we work with. We get the announcer booth is kind of a fun place. It's where people like to come and hang out. So a lot of the times the staff will come up and hang out with us. And it's really fun to have them up there with us and see their experiences throughout the day and then watch them see athletes that they've seen throughout the day. Maybe some of the bike course guys will be done cleaning up the bike, but they come back and they see, oh, that person, they were going to quit at the last aid station. And oh my gosh, they made it to the finish line. And so it's fun to see everybody kind of join us as the event goes on. And the event just rolls. It's really interesting. It's like we put the people in the swim and then we clean up the swim as they're coming out. And then the swim guys are done with their stuff and we do the same thing on the bike. It's just kind of this rolling process that goes on. And it's fun to see it from the back side as we've got athletes still coming in and they don't really realize what's happening. But as the staff comes back and everybody kind of digests their day and talks about everything that happens, that's a really fun part for us. There's just a lot of camaraderie, a lot of just togetherness on the back end as well.
Very cool. So what led to you becoming an announcer for Ironman?
I live in St. George, Utah, and my first Ironman was Ironman St. George 2012. That was the windy year and the wavy year, if you were here for that. That was my very first Ironman. And of course, Ironman has been in St. George in 2025. It had been 15 years that Ironman had been in St. George. And I had done the full and many 70.3s and a relay for 70.3. And I also was announcing races at the time, and people locally, because St. George would bring such a great contingency of local athletes from Utah, and everyone's like, why don't you announce, we expected you to be announcing Ironman. We expected you to do that. And I was like, well, Ironman's just different. I'm just not involved with that brand. And I had some connections with Paul Huddle here, who actually lives in Southern Utah as well. And I reached out to Paul and I was like, hey, I'd really like to announce St. George. I would love to be at the finish line because so many local athletes and I just love a good hometown race. And of course, it's Ironman. And so I connected with Paul, who connected me with Tom Siebart, and the ball just started rolling. And St. George was one of the first Ironman events that I got to announce and be on the microphone. And it was so special to me because it was that hometown race and getting to see so many people. And I also knew the race so well because I had done it so many times. And so that's kind of how I got there with Ironman. And since then it's just been great. And I wish I had more weekends more weekends in the year to travel all around because there's just so many great events and so many great athletes out there.
So are you still competing in triathlons or endurance events?
Yeah, so still in endurance events. I haven't done a triathlon for quite a while. I have to say, I haven't been on the bike for quite a while. And Ironman, I was competitive when I did it I did my first full Ironman in 2012, and it started really on the Ironman circuit probably in 2010 after I had my second baby in 2008, and was pretty competitive. And it just was something that as an athlete, I got tired, John. I was just like, I was tired of just battling all the time. And there was just a lot of time commitment. I'd spent a lot of time. My kids were also getting a little bit older. They were starting to go into school, it just is hard for a mom. And I think we see that with women in triathlon a lot. And for me, I found some recovery from multi-sport in the dirt and running ultras. And so I came from my Ironman career, and in 2015, I did my first 50K and 50 miler and was like, oh, wait, this is great. Like, I just put on some shoes and I just go and run in these beautiful places. So I have to say that I got a little addicted to the dirt and to the ultra scene. And since then, I've been doing a lot of long distance running. I'm just getting ready to go with the Kyle Peace Foundation, who they're Ironman athletes as well. We're going down to Walt Disney World to push athletes who are in wheelchairs for the Disney Marathon weekend. So doing the Dopey Challenge for the third year this year. So still competing. I use competing very loosely, but definitely still out there and moving in endurance.
So a couple years ago, I just came across, I don't even remember where, the 29029 Everest. And this is cool. And I was actually coaching a guy at the time, and I don't remember what our connection about this was, but I remember sending it to him and I was like, this is something that we've got to do because this looks so cool. And then just in a conversation with you, where were we? I don't even remember now. Arizona, I guess it was. You told me that you're actually the MC for this event as well. So not only Ironman, working with 29029. Tell us more about what this is.
Yeah, it's so fun. Like we talked about, the endurance world is amazing. That's why I'm still in the endurance world. And there's so many unique ways to do endurance and endurance challenges. And really, it can be for everybody. 29029 is an Everesting challenge that started in 2017. And what we do is we rent out a ski resort and we take you there. The ski resort has to have a gondola. And we challenge you not to see how far you can go, but to see if you can climb the vertical equivalent of Mount Everest, which is 29,029 feet, hence 29029. So the first event took place in 2017 in Stratton Mountain, Vermont. And at that mountain, the format would be that you had to hike a 1.3 mile course 17 times in order to accumulate the vertical equivalent of Mount Everest, 29,029 feet. So you hike up, you'd ride a gondola down, so there's no downhill, and then you do it again, and you have 36 hours to complete that challenge. Wow. So it's a proper challenge, and we have events from, like I said, the first one was in Stratton Mountain, Vermont. We go to Mont Tremblant, we go to Whistler, we have Sun Valley, Idaho, Snow Basin, Utah. We just went to Aspen, Colorado this year. We're going to Steamboat next year. So great resorts and just a great challenge, and it's such a fun brand because it truly is accessible to anybody. It's a hiking challenge. You don't need to run. You've got 36 hours, which is plenty of time. I always tell people, if you turned on a treadmill and you walked at 1 mile an hour for 24 hours, you'd go 24 miles. So you don't have to go fast, but you have to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's the mantra of 29029 is keep climbing. And it becomes just like Ironman, where anything is possible. It's that mantra for life. Like, can you face a mountain and just keep chipping away at it? Even when you don't feel great, even when your stomach's going south, even when the rain and the snow is coming and all the things, can you just keep chipping away? And there's just so many overlaps with endurance and life and that different perspective. It changes us in the process. And so 29029, it's a special community. It's a very small event. It has about 270 to about 350 people at each event. So it's very small, but it bonds people very, very closely to the experience that they're having and to each other. So pretty special.
Yeah, super cool. So we'll check that out, and even doubled up on a couple of the Ironman venues with Mont Tremblant and Whistler and some of those. So maybe it's experience the city two different ways, two different epic endurance events.
For sure. We have lots of Ironman athletes who come to 29029.
Very cool. Yeah.
No.
So do you know your schedule for next year?
I do know my schedule for
Nice.
next year. That's one thing about my job, John, is I always know my schedule about 18 months ahead of time.
Nice.
It's a blessing and a curse, I tell everybody. But yeah, I'm excited. I just finished La Quinta, which was just, what was that? Was it even a week and a half, 2 weeks ago? And the season will start quickly because Ironman they also have rock and roll events that they do. So I'll be at Rock and Roll Arizona starting in January. So I'll kick off the season there. And then I will be at Ironman 70.3 Oceanside this year. I'll be at Ironman Texas this year. I'll be Ironman Placid. And I will also be at Rock and Roll San Diego. That's in June. And then I will be at Ironman 70.3 La Quinta at the end of the year. So hitting some of those Pro Series events and, working on that. That's really something that I love. And yeah, I was talking to Z-Bart the other day. I'm like, I wish I had more weekends for you, Z, because there's so many great events to be on. And so, but I'm excited. Oceanside, this will be my 4th year back at Oceanside, 2nd year back at Texas. And then it will be my first time in Lake Placid. So
this past year was my first time. It lives up to the hype.
That's what I've heard.
I will say that. I have now been to every U.S. Ironman venue, and that was that and Madison. I checked off the list this year, so I've been to them all. And yeah, it was amazing. It was like 40 degrees one morning, and this was like July. It was July.
Yeah, and it was raining. They had got some rain and everything.
But it's gorgeous, and it's just Placid's a really cool town. So.
I'm excited. It's going to be great.
So one thing I promise with every episode of the podcast is that there's actionable items that we can use in our next training session or race. So as the race announcer, what tips, suggestions, what do you have so that the athletes can maximize their experience? I would say maybe on the red carpet, but also just throughout the entire day, the week, the Ironman experience.
Yeah, and that's such a good question. And I do think there's a lot of takeaways that athletes can have from a conversation like this is, ask questions. There is staff there to help you and guide you through everything. Staff, volunteers, find the announcers, seek us out. We want to help you with that. So after, come to the briefings. I know sometimes it's hard, but briefings are also recorded and they're put on the Facebook page. So watch the briefings. It gives you so much information to help walk you through it, especially if you're a first timer. And we tell you kind of the intricacies of the different venues, because maybe there's some road construction that's popped up that you didn't know about in the athlete guide. So really lean into that, the announcers who are there, and ask us those questions, and just also tell us about your experiences. Let us get to know you. Just don't be shy when you come to an Ironman venue, because we want to get to know you, because that makes us be able to help you with your experience that much better. And I always, at every athlete briefing, I always say, from an announcer to an athlete, slow down, enjoy the day. You worked so hard to get there. And I have to say, John, I felt like when I was an athlete, I was so dialed in to the race and to my execution of the race. And when I see people these days who know how to enjoy moving their body and know how to enjoy the experience of doing great things, those are the people who inspire me the most, because those are the people who have longevity in the sport. So find that place where you can smile and say, look at what my body's doing. This is great. It may not be perfect, but let's just keep going. Also, your spectators love you very, very much. They get to see you for about 1 second every few hours. Stop and give them some love. Give them a high five. Tell them thank you, because they are so excited to see you. And then when you get to the red carpet, don't waste it away. That is not the time to do a threshold sprint to the line. Do that out on the course someplace. If you're racing for a place in your age group, I totally get it, and I'm here for the race. But slow down. Let us cheer you on. Let yourself hear what Ironman is. The heart of Ironman lives on that red carpet. slow down enough so that you can take a piece of that home with you and that you remember that, because it is something that goes by so quickly and you work so hard to get there. So take a deep breath. I even love it when people just walk. I'm like, just walk it out. High five every single person in that chute, because we just don't get those kinds of moments in our lives very often.
Yeah.
So
as a race announcer, you're saying to slow down. As a coach, I'm saying hurry up. But I 100%, and I've been saying this for years. It's almost like you quoted what I said. You got to slow down for that red carpet. And any opportunity you have to connect with your family, your support crew, it's an investment. It's taking a couple seconds to connect with the family that's there, and that's going to give you energy further down the course. That's going to keep you moving faster. So it's kind of like slowing down at an aid station so you can get nutrition or hydration. It's very similar to that. It's getting that emotional connection, that reminder of why you're out there, and a reminder that you're supported. And then I think the biggest mistake I see is the sprint down the red carpet. I just shake my head like, come on, man! Like, you have no idea what you're just wasting away. And a lot of these people, they've been walking for like the last 18 miles, and now all of a sudden they want to run. It's like you said, do that out on the course. But I've done an okay job on the finish line. Like I said, my last was with Mike Riley, and I took just a second to connect with Mike, which was super cool. And I actually have a picture of it. That's a great shot. But I always say that too, is like, slow down, enjoy the red carpet, because that's what we come back for. That's what keeps us coming back again and again. I'll say that the training is great, the race is great, but like you've said a couple times, nothing compares to that red carpet moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a celebration of everything you did. Do it for yourself. It really is the moment you'll remember the most, and just soak it up. Just soak it up. Those few seconds that you won't have on your finish time, or that will add to your finish time, it won't matter in 20 years when you tell your kids or your grandkids about your experience on that race. You won't remember the time that you finished, but you will remember what it felt like when you came across.
It's Ironman, and we brag for the rest of our lives. That's part of the part of the promise.
Sure.
So. Well, Colleen, thank you so much for your time, and I am really excited. One, for everyone to get to know you a little bit more. I'm excited for all these athletes that are going to be crossing finish lines with you next year, and I think there's going to be just that much more of a connection with them. Kind of like we knew Mike, and we had that expectation. So now I'm really excited for the athletes to know you and know your personality, your energy, all these things. The fact that you want to connect with them, you want them to ask questions, you want to be a part of their experience, you want to share your experience and make theirs all the more better. So I'm excited for that, and I really feel like too that the Ironman announcer position is in really good hands. Is because, like, some of those other guys we mentioned, they're kind of the old timers, but I'm super excited for you, and especially some of the other ladies that are working on the Ironman circuit, and some of that younger blood coming in. So I'm really excited for what's to come, and to see what you guys do with, kind of like you mentioned, Mike Riley paved a lot of the road, as did Tom Zebart and some of these others. But I have full faith in you guys to go out and continue what was started there. So once again, thank you, and really look forward to seeing you out on the road next year.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thanks for having me on, John. It's been so much fun, and I can't wait to see everybody at their next Ironman event.
Thanks for tuning into Tribe Triathlon, where athletes come together to train smarter, race stronger, and thrive together. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your training partners. Join the Tribe Facebook group to connect with community, and check out tribetriathlon.net to learn more about Tribe coaching. Until then, stay focused, stay consistent, and keep building the tribe.